All right, so I'm just going to walk you through how to upload these files to the Google Drive. And now every school is individual and has their own methods of, like, some students may have their own accounts, you may have a teacher account. Whatever account you are using for your students' devices, whether it's the student's individualized account or your teacher account, you're going to want to put the centers into that account. So each tablet at the school that I work at, each student has their own individual email address and folder that is directly associated with the school. So for example, I'll just give you, for example, Judah, his email address, this is not real, but it would be judah@fcs-online.org. So his tablet device, he's going to be logged in to that account. I hope that makes sense. So when you upload your centers to your Google Drive, whatever folder, like if you have a student folder or if you have just a generic folder, you just need to make sure that your tablet is logged in to the same account. Because the way that Google works, and you may know this already, but for those of you who don't, the way Google works is it's a cloud-based server. And so I'm going to just give you an example. So I'm going to double click on Judah, and you're going to see here that there are PowerPoint files in here. So I'm going to make a new folder in here, and this is on my desktop. And then what I'm going to do is go into Judah's Google Drive. So if you look here, Judah has all of these centers, so this mimics all of these files. This is the same folder but on two devices. So now I'm going to make a new folder here, and I'm going to just show you how it reflects in this folder. So right now there is no folder in this account, but I'm going to make a folder here that says centers. And you know what, let's title it August and September centers. And then I'm going to click create. And then if you watch, automatically what's going to happen is that folder, see how that just popped up? That folder is going to automatically sync because it's the same folder in the Google Cloud service. So whatever PowerPoints you put in this folder, Judah's folder, or if you just have a generic centers folder, you just need to make sure that the device that you're using is synced and logged in so that you can pull the centers up on the device. I hope that makes sense. So it's really easy. The first thing that you're going to do after you download the product from Teachers Pay Teachers, you're going to get a zipped file like this. You're going to right click and then extract the files just like you would any other product on Teachers Pay Teachers. After you've extracted the files, all of the files are going to look like this. So what you want to do is take these files that are on your desktop, that are on your laptop, and you want to move them to Google Drive. So then what you're going to do is pull up the folder that you'd like those files to be in, and you're just going to drag and drop. So I'm going to go into that August and September folder that I just made, and I'm just going to drag and drop. So I'm going to just select the ones that I want. So I just want the PowerPoint files. So I'm just going to drag, see how I've got them, and you just drop them, and you'll see a prompt here. And so it's going to start uploading those. And as they appear there, they're going to start appearing in the same folder on this device. And it's pretty instantaneous. So if I'm refreshing along the way, you'll see that they're uploading. So I would just say, as a teacher, if you're in my situation at my school, I'm a kindergarten teacher, and each student has their own device with their own email address associated with the school. So I know that I can go in and I can go into each individual student's folder. I can go into Emma's, I can go into Judah's, I can go into each folder, and I can just drag and drop these into their folders, and then they can pull them up on their devices. But say, for example, you only have a couple devices, or maybe you have a Chromebook or something that is kind of like an all-class device. You can still do the same thing. You just need to make sure that whatever device you're using, whether it's a tablet or a Chromebook, that the device is connected to the same account that you are dropping the folders, the centers into. I hope that makes sense. And then after you have dropped them in there, they will be accessible to the students to use. So I'm just going to kind of give you an example. So this is the same folder, August and September centers. Now what I'm going to do is all of these centers are in this folder now, but because I haven't refreshed, they're not in here yet, but once I refresh, there they are. Okay, so then what the students are going to see is all of these centers here. So for example, if you made a Judah folder with all of the months of centers, August and September, you would just click on that month, and then the students can either choose, or if you want to assign them a specific center, you can do that as well. We have labeled the centers the same as the response sheets. So for example, I'm going to bring up the response sheets here. Okay, so for roll and trace word families, you're going to see roll and trace word families here. So the student would click on that. And then if they turn their device sideways and click play, then what it's going to do, it has the ICANN card that goes into detail, gives them directions, and then also has the first example. So they need to grab a partner in a single dot die, and then they're going to use this response sheet, that response sheet right there. And as they swipe through, they're going to write the answers on the response sheet. So what I would recommend doing is printing off your response sheets and then having them on hand so that, for example, if you wanted to use these centers for your morning work, morning seat work, you could have the students pull up individual skills that they need to specifically work on. So if you know one student needs to work on word families, you can give him or her that response sheet. They can pull up the roll and trace word family center on their device, and then they can get right to work. If you know another student needs to work on short vowels, you can pull that center up for them. And honestly, I have a kindergartner, and I showed him how to do this. Now we are pretty tech savvy, but once you show the students once or twice how to do it, once you hand them the response sheet with the title, my son, who's 6 years old, he's able to match the title with the title in here. So he can look, and I just want to show you one thing too, because this might be handy. If you double tap, this is an iPad, this is not an Android. If you double tap and you go back, there's two ways to look at this. This is the like the index view. If you click here on this little hamburger with those squares, it's going to show the pictures. So if you have this view up and you need the students to match the title of the response sheet to the title of the center, you just click on that little button there and it's just going to pull that up. So they would say word building short vowels. Okay, so oh, right there, word building short vowel. So then they would just click on that and then that would pull up that. So what I would recommend doing is really the only thing that you need to print off are these response sheets. So just each month you'll have between 8 to 12 response sheets, and then that's all you really need to have on hand so that you can just hand the students that every time that they need to use it or would like to use it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have not covered. The only other thing that I would say is another way that you could do this is if you have for example, I'm going to right click and make a new folder. And then if you have students that, I'm just going to type in here, sorry, digital centers, and then I'm going to click create. If you have students who have their own individual email addresses that are associated with the school that you work at, and I know for kindergarten and first grade, that seems a little bit young for them. We use that, and the use case for us is we share all of the folders and stuff with the parents so that they can see basically like a running log of all of the work, because we digitize all of our work. We scan it in and take pictures and stuff. But if you wanted to, you could make a folder of digital centers. So you could drop all of these files into this digital centers folder. And this is just another way to do this. You know, there's 100 ways to skin a cat, they say, if that's the right phrase. But then as these are uploading, what you can do is share this folder. If you right click on it and click share, then you can type in your students' individual email addresses here. And then that way they can open this folder in their individual Google Drive. So that's another way to do it. And these really, like I said, there's really several ways to do this, but these are the two easiest ways that I can think of to share with you if you really haven't been in the Google ecosystem. But these two ways are a surefire way to get you connected and get you everything you need to have a successful experience with these awesome no prep centers. Okay, so then the last thing that I wanted to cover was that while these are great for Google Drive and connecting them with the Google Drive ecosystem, you can also use these on a desktop. So if you have a computer that is, you know, kind of an old school computer, has a mouse, it's maybe you have a couple in your room or in a computer lab, something like that, you can still install these centers. And I say install, that's really not the right word, but you can still put these centers just as you would on your regular desktop. You can put these files on a computer that has PowerPoint. As long as the computer has PowerPoint, then you can still use these. So I'm going to just give you a for example. So I'm on my computer right now, and I'm going to open Apple's Apple letters, capital or lowercase. So I'm going to double click, it's going to open it in PowerPoint, and then I'm going to go up here, I'm going to zoom out here a little bit so you can see, to slideshow, and right up here, I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go over to the from beginning, which is basically the presentation view. You can also click F5 if you wanted to go ahead and jump into presentation view. And so this is another way that you can use this. So if you have a computer, say for example, your teacher computer, and you'd like to display these on a Promethean board or your TV, we don't have Promethean boards at our school. We don't use projectors, we use TV screens. And so you can display this. And so if you gave the entire class the response sheets, you could also display this on a screen, and then you just arrow over and they match the response to the response sheet, and they write their answer on the response sheet. So there really are a variety of ways that you can use these. And then also, I'm gonna just scroll through really quick. The last thing I wanna mention is, while we've included this check your work page, you do not need to keep that in here. These PowerPoints are semi-customizable. Like, I can delete this slide if I wanted to. If I right clicked on it and clicked delete slide, I could do that if I wanted to. And the reason I say that is because on their device, they're gonna have that page automatically, but if you wanted to take that off, you could do that, because we've also provided the printable version of the answer keys as well. So there are lots of ways to use these. Another quick way you could use these would be in small group time. If you had, and I love this idea because you could sit there as the teacher with either a device in your hand or projecting the slides on the screen, and you could give the students, 3 or 4 students at a time, the response sheets, and then you could have small group time like that. And so you're clicking through and they're getting that digital integration in their academics, but they're still working those fine motor skills, still working those hand muscles as they're coloring or rolling dice or connecting Unifix cubes, all of the above. So I hope that's answered all of your questions. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email either Deanna or I. We are here to help you. I know in this digital age, there are times it can feel a little bit overwhelming, but we are here to be a resource to you. Thank you so much, and let us know if anything comes up.